and the third here with our morning meditation. Yep, I say it every week and I mean it. You're loved, you're appreciated, and you're irreplaceable. Every week, we try to share these messages that we hope will bring inspiration and encouragement so that you might be able to share these messages with others or be uplifted by them. We know that life sometimes comes at you fast, as we often say, and sometimes it moves turtle slow. There are moments in which we wish things will work out better, and there are moments in which we are certain that we are being blessed by what life offers us. But whatever the case you're in, whatever the place you're in, it is important to note that you have friends that are traveling the road with you. And we wanted to share these messages with you with the hope that you might find some support, some encouragement, and some strength along the way. Now to our morning meditation. The morning meditation today is entitled, When You're Carrying Too Much. When you're carrying too much. Recently, as I often do, I went to do some grocery shopping. I do most of my shopping at Costco. And when you go to Costco, you come out with boxes sometimes, and sometimes you're able to put your things that you purchase neatly in those boxes, so it will help you carry them when you leave your car and then when you get home. Well, where I live is a little bit of a distance between where I have to park and where my home is. And so from time to time, I don't really want to take the route of going about it with several trips. So I try to take all that I've purchased, everything that I have, and try to do it in one trip. One time, and no, not one, many times, I found myself trying to carry way too much for far too long and only to make a mistake and drop an item and to waste it trying to get home and take the shortcut. The challenge that I have with this is that it is a representation often of the way we live our lives. We are carrying way too much. And when we do so, we find ourselves sometimes losing some things that were precious to us along the way. I thought about that and I wrote myself some notes. So bear with me if I look down. And I thought about what it meant and what it felt like to carry too much. Sometimes when we're carrying too much, we have to identify why we carry too much. And here are a few reasons why. I think we carry too much because maybe perhaps we're pressed for time. We're in a hurry and we don't have a lot of time to waste. And so that more trips and taking more time to be careful ends up falling short to what it is we're trying to do because we are on a time schedule. And sometimes in our lives, we find ourselves trying to figure out how to do things the fastest way because we're pressed for time. We have deadlines to meet. We have people to get to. We have places to go. And so we try to take more in hand than we should, trying to go to school, trying to raise our children, trying to have children, trying to keep a marriage, trying to keep a relationship, trying to climb up the ladder of success, trying to be a socialite, trying to do all these things because we see the window of time is closing for us and our opportunities. And so often we find ourselves trying to do way too much and not being able to do anything efficiently and do it well, but we're doing a lot of things inefficiently. Well, maybe another reason why we are trying to find ourselves carrying too much, as I wrote it down here, is that I mentioned it earlier, we are trying to take shortcuts. It's not that we're pressed for time. We just don't want to be patient, don't want to spend the time. And so we spend our energy looking for shortcuts. And looking for shortcuts may mean we take more in hand than we ought in order to try to get where we're going and holding more than we should while trying to do it. Unfortunately, when we do that, we leave the process behind. We need to leave the important things behind and we try to take the shortcut. In other words, we've been waiting long enough. Stood in the back of the line before. And if you've ever been in a grocery store or in another place where you had to wait in line, it's easy to become impatient and try to figure out a way to cut across and get ahead of other people. But let me say something about taking shortcuts. It's dangerous. And when you try to take more in hand, trying to carry too much, trying to do it too fast, trying to cut across, or cut down, or move across the field, if you will, you might find yourself making things worse rather than better. That's an important piece. No shortcuts. And if you realize that in life, you'll discover that the one who created you knew the journey you would have to take to get where you're going, and the shortcuts won't get you there. I think this one is important. Another reason why, that we think we can do more than we really can. I mean, when you take too much in hand, when you're carrying too much, we assume that we are more powerful, more gifted, have more abilities than we really do have. And it takes an honest conversation or someone who cares enough about us to say to us, you can't do it all. You don't have the ability to do it all, and you shouldn't try to do it all. Often we push back on people like that because we feel like they're not being supportive, or they are naysayers, or they are just trying to be negative, negative Ned or negative Nancy, or whatever it is, and they're not encouraging us, and they don't believe in our dreams. The truth is, they may see what we don't see. It's pretty easy to look at other people and to tell what's going on with them. It's hard, very hard, to look at ourselves and to know that we may not have the ability to do all the things we're trying to do all at the same time. No one said that we couldn't do them, but we can't always do them all at the same time. And that is the challenge that I often have to bring people to the reality of. You can't climb the ladder of success and not run the risk of leaving behind some people who are with you or who have been with you. You can't stay away from home and still think home is going to be there. You can't find a way to be at home and think you're going to have all of the comforts of the world and be a millionaire and fly across the world. You can't do it all. Some people in our context and in our culture really believe that, why can't I have it all? Why can't I do it all? You can, but you can't hold it all at the same time. I don't know the last time you checked, but you only have so many hands. And either you're going to tuck some here or carry it there, and you might find yourself in a position where you realize you can't do what you wanted to try to do. Let me give you another why that we carry too much. And here is the part that I think is important. We find ourselves in a place where we are probably carrying too much because others have given us too much to carry. Yeah. Many of us didn't ask for the challenges that we have, didn't ask for the responsibility, didn't ask for the problems that have come our way. And sometimes we're carrying way too much, not because we sought it, but because it was dumped in our laps or put in our arms or dumped on our shoulders, and we were forced to carry it. For those persons who are in this place right now, I have sympathy for you. I'm praying for you. I have empathy for you because I've been in that place as well. But remember, when you're carrying too much, it's okay to, when you get it, to then start putting some things down so that you can carry them later. There's this wonderful story that reminded me of my experience that I shared, trying to carry all of these things. And once the writer talked about carrying them and trying to make one trip like I did and carry it all, but got to the door and didn't have, like I did, when I got to my front door carrying all my Costco groceries, didn't have enough hands to reach for my keys to open the door. What a tragedy. And while I was trying to reach for my keys to open the door, I dropped everything out of my hands. I lost a lot of good stuff, and it almost defeated the purpose for me going to the store in the first place. Let me ask you a question. What things have you dropped that were important because you were trying to carry too much? What things did you not have the ability, just when you got to the threshold, you thought you almost got there, arms straining to hold it all, and you just had to get there, but you needed to do one more thing, but the one more thing that you were trying to do cost you almost everything. I want you to think about that because I think these next little things that I want to say might help us as we journey through. When we carry too much, there's some things we should note, that we're likely to drop some things. Always happens. When we carry too much, we can hurt ourselves. You can strain yourself to beyond what you should be doing. And that straining and hurting yourself is not always physical. It can be emotional, it can be mental, it can be spiritual. You could find yourself trying to do too much, extending too much, only to expose yourself to some sort of injury, whether it's spiritual injury, personal injury, emotional injury, or even physical injury. And when we try to carry too much, we don't leave room um, for other things to have to be carried. Other things do happen. And when you have too much, then you don't have room to absorb the new things. Well, here's what I've learned about when you're carrying too much. And I think, I hope this helps in this message for somebody that's listening. When you're carrying too much, the first thing you should do is to acknowledge that you're carrying too much. It's okay. If you are stressed beyond words, if you can't sleep at night, if worry is dogging you here and there, when you're frustrated and you're snapping at other people, or you find yourself being reclusive and withdrawing from the very life that you love, it is probably a signal that you're carrying way too much. And the only way to try to get a remedy for carrying too much is the first step is to acknowledge I'm carrying too much. I realized I have too much that's in my hands. The second thing I think is important is that when you realize that you're carrying too much, then you have to ask for help. Yeah. You should ask for help. If someone's around, say, listen, I got a lot in my hands. I need some help. Can you lend me a hand to carry this thing at least till I can get it into the door, or at least I can get to where I'm going? There's nothing wrong with asking for help. You can ask for help from others, family, friends. You can ask God for help. You can ask your creator, I am carrying too much. I didn't ask for this, but I need some help carrying this. And then adhere to the instructions that you hear. If you hear there is important, you have to decide what's in your hand, what that you are carrying is so important that you need to carry it. You might discover that some of the things that you have in your hand, you probably could put down. You don't have to carry it all. All of it is not important. In fact, you can only use some of it every one or two things every now and then. So it's important to note that there's some things that are okay for you to put down. You don't have to be the jack of all trades or the Jane of all trades. You don't have to be that and be on dancing on every stage or smiling in every picture or doing everything everyone expects of you. You don't have to have the drive to have to go and do those things, everything, even though it's taking away from your peace. If it's not life-giving, but if it's life-taking, don't give your life to it, but give your life to the things that are giving life back to you. Well, here is the closing of this message. I believe that God signals to us that it is not God's will and God, our Creator's will, that we would have to carry too much. Now, what is too much, you might ask? Well, anytime you find yourself wavering, when you lose yourself in between the task that you have and the person that you are, is probably a sign that you're carrying too much. And if you are carrying too much, remember, God doesn't want that kind of life for you, but God wants a life where in which you could find yourself carrying what you need, not everything you want or everything that you think you might need tomorrow, the next day, but here's a hint. Carry what you need for the day. All we can live for is the day that we're in. And when tomorrow comes, we will have what we need to face tomorrow. We've had many yesterdays and the days before that. And every day we had sufficiently what we needed for the day. Those moments in which we have taken more than we should and tried to keep it for the next day, often the things we tried to hold, we couldn't use and we had to throw out. So there is a prayer that Jesus taught his disciples to pray that we often use in our faith tradition as Christians. It is the prayer that shares these words. Many from our brothers and sisters from the Catholic tradition may call it the prayer that Jesus taught his disciples to pray, Our Father. And here's how it goes: Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And here's the key: give us this day our daily bread. Give us what we can hold and handle for the day. Whatever it is we need today, you'll give us what we need sufficient for the day. I think the challenge we have is that we're trying to rack up enough, not only just for today, but for tomorrow and for next week and for next month and for next year, so we don't have to depend or wait on or look for it to come in another way. The truth is, my friends, you won't have the privilege, none of us have the privilege of knowing whether we will see tomorrow or next week or next month or next year. But today is the day that we had. So that's the message today. When you're carrying too much, uh, learn how to recognize that you're carrying too much. When you're carrying too much, learn how to ask for help, for someone to help you to relieve the burden of carrying so much. And when you're carrying too much, it's okay to put some things down. All right, that's the message. I want you to know that you're loved, you're appreciated, you're irreplaceable. These messages are for you to help you along the way. Be encouraged. Have a great day. Have a great week. Have a great life. Take care. Bye bye.